less glare this way.
And we're live. Welcome here to hashtag Jeopardy Live panel. This is Season 2, Episode 19, here on January 17th at 7 o'clock p.m. Once again, I am Andy Saunders, and I am going to be moderating tonight's discussion. We'll see how well this goes. I'm going with a different computer this evening, so not sure how well this is going to work, but I think we'll be okay. So I'm going to get right into the introductions, as I have a lot of things I'd like to talk about. First up, I am going to introduce our one person returning to the panel tonight, Kerry Greene. I was going to talk about your upcoming trip to New Zealand, but looks like you have some Jeopardy earrings. I think.
I had dinner last night with a fellow, well, several, but Christine Qualley, who played a couple of weeks before Tournament of Champions, and she made Jeopardy earrings for all of us. It was very nice. Oh, and Katie Price, definitely Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing. That is her jam. Just in case she's watching, I want her to know.
Was that karaoke or?
No, it was just we were at a bar, and as we closed the place, of course, and that's what they were playing as they were shooing us out the door. So, and she was singing quite well. So, had the bartenders grooving a little bit. It was nice.
Okay. Also on our panel tonight, we have for the first time, but well known in the Jeopardy community, the Jeopardy fan community, he won 3 games, $83,000 back in 2002, Tom Kelso. Thanks for joining us, Tom.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. I don't close down bars with Marvin Gaye anymore. But,
Anymore?
Anymore. Yeah, well, you see, I'm old now. Back in my day, we closed down the bar with Marvin, but I really don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think, Tom, you're one of the people who are, I guess, even more OG than I would be in terms of the fan community, and I've been around a while, so.
I'd show you my moves, but my DJ's on a break right now, so you'll just have to take my word for it.
And we've got a couple of contestants from last week's games. First up from Thursday's game, which has provoked some quite interesting discussion over the past couple of days. Ben Almoite, thanks for joining us, Ben.
Hello, hi, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And then finally, we've got from Friday's game, Jenn Frohlich.
Hello.
Okay, so let's see here. Before we get into the first question, because Keith Williams of the Final Wager has actually given me a question he wants me to ask tonight, specifically to Ben, but we'll get that in a second. But as promised a couple of weeks ago, for those of you who remember, I launched the Andy Awards for the favorite various things of 2015. So in amongst tonight's panel, I'm going to be unveiling the nominees in each category. So basically what's going to happen, you'll have 5 nominees in 6 categories. You'll have that. Voting will take place over the next 2 weeks until the 31st of January, and that night on Jeopardy Live panel, I will announce the winners in each category. So let's see here. We have, hopefully this is going to go okay, but the first category is for favorite celebrity contestant, and your nominees in that category are, we have Penn Jillette, Deborah Messing, Kevin O'Leary, Aaron Rodgers, and Bellamy Young. Do any of you guys have a favorite amongst those 5?
I recall Aaron Rodgers doing really well on his stint.
Well, Aaron Rodgers seems to do well at anything he touches, including throwing long bomb Hail Mary passes. That is for sure.
Sure, yeah.
The main thing I remember about Bellamy Young was that as well as she was playing, she always seemed half convinced that they were about to come and take her off the stage for not knowing anything. But she wound up dominating her game. That stuck with me.
I gotta vote for Deborah Missing just because I'm a huge fan.
I thought she looked uncomfortable when she was playing, which surprised me because she's so, natural when you see her in something. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, maybe Jeopardy has better writers than the Mysteries of Laura, so she wasn't used to working with
Sure.
Ouch.
Will be edited, I'm sure.
Okay, so we'll get to the other 5 categories in just a little bit. So yeah, we'll go straight into the first question. This one coming from Keith Williams. By the way, if you have any comments for the panel, you're always welcome to use the hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel. I have one question I will get to in just a little bit. But the first one coming from Keith Williams, this one I guess specifically for Ben, but I mean you can add something in if you heard something. Jen, when making your wager in Final Jeopardy on Thursday, did the contestant coordinators, producers, anyone like that say anything about a potential tiebreaker?
You meant me, right?
Yes, I did mean you, Ben, yes.
Okay, I thought I heard Jen's name, but I just wanted to be sure.
I heard Ben and Jen, so I said Ben and Jen so if
Len?
We're very close. Yeah, I know, Len, Ben. I have a little anecdote. We have a little anecdote about that. But anyway, in regard to the Thursday game, they were very quiet around me when they put the dividers, and they sort of just said, go ahead and write your wager in, and they didn't say anything about any possible tiebreaker. I mean, I remember looking at the score already, and it's like, well, the only way I would be able to get that would be to get the correct question. So. Which was a no-brainer for me to just go all in and hope for the best, which is what I did. But no, none of the contestant coordinators mentioned anything to me. They were pretty quiet and just making sure that I didn't try to peek around or just enter my wager basically and sign it.
Do you have anything to add on that one, Jen?
I don't know if this is from my research beforehand or if they told us in the beginning before we even went to rehearse that there were no ties now. Do you remember, Ben?
They did mention it.
It is part of the spiel. They definitely go through that.
I knew that going in as well from just my research online. So, yeah, pretty much, for Ben, no-brainer. Everybody kind of knew what he was going to do. The question for us sitting, watching was, what's Amelia going to do?
Yeah.
So.
Interestingly enough, by the way, in case anyone has not noticed this, in case anyone has not noticed this, if you go to the hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel on Twitter, you will find a poll, and that poll asks, if you were in Amelia's position in Thursday's game, do you bet 0, 1, 1999, or something else? So if you want to weigh in on that, you can go to Twitter, use the hashtag, and a little bit later on in the show, I'll announce the results of that poll. I have one question already on the hashtag from Shay Zellweger. What's everyone drinking?
Excellent question. Okay, I'm drinking not just one, but 2 gin and tonics.
Hendrix?
No, tonight it is Ophir, O-P-I-H-R, which is spicy and awesome, and they just got it in the New Hampshire store, so I was very psyched about that.
And now I know what happened to my gin and tonic.
Let's just say the bartender is really on tonight.
Well, I'm boring, and I just have a regular bottle of water. So.
Yeah, me too.
I am trying to cut back on my drinking just a little bit, so I actually am not. I do not have any alcohol this evening, so I am hosting this one stone cold sober.
All right.
I'll overcompensate for you there, Andy. I'll do my best.
Kerry is silently judging me, I am sure.
I think we should all have a Labatt in Andy's honor for taking the sacrifice that he's taken. There you go.
There are better beers out there than Labatt's, I will tell you that much. Okay. At this point, before I go on to the next question for our panel, I think now would be a good time for me to let's see, do the next category for the nominations once again. Voting opens at 9:00 p.m. tonight, and sorry for the technical issues in trying to get this up. Here we go. This category is for favorite Jeopardy live panel panelist, and those nominees are Steve Bonneman, Aria Gerson, Ben Ingram. Both sober and drunk Ben Ingram got nominations, by the way. Jennifer Morrow, and in a surprise to myself, apparently I was worthy as being. I ended up on about half a dozen different nomination papers for favorite live panel panelist. I wasn't planning on nominating myself, but the fans, I guess, can't be wrong. So. Once again, voting is at thejeopardyfan.com on starting at 9:00 tonight and going for a couple of weeks. But yeah, so those are your 5 in favorite Jeopardy live panel panelist. Now moving on to our next question for everyone. 57 games now since we've had a 4-time champion. Any ideas? It's a curse? Okay. Who thinks whom has cursed the show?
I don't know, and it's been an interesting season because there's been a lot of women, not just winners, but contestants in general, and games with 3 women, and that's really exciting. And it's like time and time again, 3 games, and then no. So.
Yeah, just to add to that, I found it really interesting that. At least in the group that Jen and I were in, I think I was only one of 3 guys that week.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, really interesting.
I think,
that's
night
maybe, and day, from my experience.
Yeah. Maybe they're, I don't know, the playing field's a little more leveled now, but it just seemed to me like that week there was a lot of variety in the types of questions and categories, and so, one game was vastly different from the next, and it could go anyone's direction.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I feel like they prepared us pretty well. I didn't feel like the returning champions had that much more advantage in terms of, how to work the buzzer and, where things were, and just, having, feeling confident that, maybe I can do this, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The scores across the board, I think, all week were pretty close.
Right.
There wasn't anyone that really, had a runaway game or anything like that. So everyone was
the play on Thursday was very tough. Then I mean,
yeah, that's what I was kind of obliquely referring to. That game, we were all like, "Wow, that was a tough one."
Yeah, right after lunch too. I feel like, great, throw this on us. No.
I'm curious, as maybe Thursday's board was the leftover board from the Tournament of Champions.
Maybe. Wow. Maybe.
That was a distinct possibility because it's Ben takes off and runs that first category, and it's like, okay, we're going to, wow, and then the rest of it was like, wow, I'm not sure we'll be doing any better on this one. I'm kind of glad I didn't get this one to play. I got an easy category like NFL #1 draft picks. So
I would have loved that one. Yeah. Actually, I would have loved Jen's category on the Avengers on Friday.
Oh yeah.
But,
I would have loved your animal category, Ben.
Oh.
I would have dominated that one.
There was a bit of heat online from that Avengers category in terms from people who obviously feel that Jeopardy contestants need to know every single last bit of pop culture on the planet. But
well, I'm gonna have to disappoint them. So
yeah.
I mean, the whole kerfluffle over the Iron Man reference I thought was remarkably silly because they hadn't really made it clear beforehand, and the first opportunity they had to correct it, they did, and yet you had some people absolutely convinced that there was a giant major conspiracy because oh, it's Facebook, and they're always convinced that there's a giant major conspiracy, that somehow this was all designed to somehow warp the game or whatever by giving credit for Iron Man.
Yeah.
And it's well, no, when you have Avengers in the title, it's fair enough to expect Avenger to be an answer.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that one, Jen?
It ran through my mind, which answer to give, and I just got a little confused because they mentioned the suit and it said Avengers, and Alex didn't say actor name, so I just kind of picked one, and I was like, I don't know, and it was the first question, and I kind of felt a little like a deer in the headlights too, so I just went with my gut, and obviously it was not what they were going for, but well.
So did you bring it up at the break, or
No,
was that
I
the
didn't
producers?
actually. I didn't even, because by that time I had already been like, okay, just focus on the next, and I didn't even know anything about it until when Alex came up to me for the story time, after the break, and he, broke the news, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was trying to focus so much on not like acting totally shocked on national television. So I was like, great, yay. So, yeah. It's true, they do try to look out for you, and I did feel very supported by everybody there, all the producers and the support staff, everybody, really had our back, so.
So I think the record is, if I remember correctly from looking at the final wager earlier today, about somewhere in the 80s. Do we think that because challengers are getting more of a, I guess, feeling more ready, do we think that we'll actually get close to, that 80 game mark in terms of not having a four-time champion?
Good question. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Mike does this coming week. I remember him in even rehearsals. He seemed pretty focused and was pretty good with the buzzer.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the heating device, excuse me. So, yeah. So.
I have to say, yeah, he was the first person I talked to because I sat next to him on the bus, and then I interacted with him a little bit more during the day, and I was an alternate, so I didn't know for sure if I was going to be on Friday, and when I knew it was up against him, I was kind of like, no, in my mind, yeah.
Pick the other one. Pick the other one.
Yeah, because I knew he was going to be a strong player.
Okay, before I move on to my next question, our third category for the Andy Award nominations, favorite non-winning contestant. These are 5 people who did not win a game, but still managed to make an impression amongst the fans. There we go. Let's try to. Here we go. The 5 non-winning contestant nominees. You have. Acting very, very slowly. So here we go. Your 5 nominees are Scott Blish, Kea Chua, Mike Duval, Louis Vertel, and Shay Zellweger.
Oh, man. How many times do we get to vote?
Unfortunately, you get 1 vote only. You only get 1 vote.
I mean, these are literally all friends of mine.
Sorry, you were saying, Tom? I missed what you said.
Can I write in Jen or Jen? I mean, it's,
there are.
I appreciate Kerry's problem because it's like I've got an opportunity to meet all of these folks. They're wonderful people. It's like it's not a choice I'd want to have to make out of the 7 of them.
There are 5.
I'm including these 2.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so it should be I'm actually interested to see how this vote will play out. I know in the nominations, A couple of people got a little bit more, a few more than others, but I'm very curious to see how that will play out. In terms of our This Week in Jeopardy history segment, we're going back to 2009 for this one this week. January 16th, 2009, Priscilla Ball, she won her first game. January 19th rolled around. She wasn't there. She had taken ill, unable to defend her title. She returned eventually on the April 9th episode and won a second game prior to losing in her third appearance. I bring this up ironically because, as far as I know, Claudia, she's set to make her own return to Jeopardy this coming week. She was the champion on December the 18th, and she was unable to return for December 21st. She is coming back. Now, I guess you guys are lucky, but how would you have felt had the contestant coordinators been like, yeah, we have 2 people returning?
Nah.
Well, I would have been curious as to why there would be 2 people returning, but I guess I don't know if I would have done anything differently or felt any different. It's like, put me on there. I'll go for it. I'll take them on. But yeah, when I first found out that she was gone, I was like, oh, I wonder what what the circumstances were, and I'm wondering also how it ended up with our shuffling of the broadcast schedule, because I think initially, from what I recall, our episode was supposed to have aired next month sometime.
Yeah.
So I guess now looking back, that was probably part of the reason, and plus Alex's knee surgery and everything. So. Yeah, but I don't know if I would have been any more intimidated if I'd known there were 2 champions there. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it, Jen.
I probably would have been on. I mean, I don't know how it works with the alternates, but
yeah, that's true.
If they still have 2 alternates, or maybe just 1, if there's 2 returners, I don't know.
I'm thinking they probably knew when giving. Well, they probably knew that Claudia was coming back, and I really don't know. That's maybe something that I may need to check with Claudia on, but there may have been an extra alternate just to fit her back onto the show.
Yeah.
It's so, unpredictable anyway. It isn't just that somebody's a champion. I remember Maggie introducing Michael and saying, "So, Michael, how many games have you won?" 1. Oh, and how much? 12,000. And I thought, oh, well, that's not a big deal. And then I watched him win, $60,000 in 1 game. It was like, crap, he is a big deal, and now I get to play him. So you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember the week that I played, the person that had been there was a fellow named Myron Meyer, whom some of you might know from various from Llama, Learned League, or other places. Minnesota Myron is how he identifies on J-Board. And he had, at that time, had set up the 1-day record. And it's like, we're coming on this week, and this guy has just set the 1-day record in his first game. And Myron loses his first game. And it's like, great, now we have to play the guy that beat the guy that set the 1-day record. So by the time lunch break rolled around, we were all just sort of like, okay, kill us all now, and just get it over with. And, the whole spectacle gets to be interesting of whether or not you psych yourself out of it simply by looking at the folks that have gone before. And I got lucky. I was too stupid to be afraid of them, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, when I was watching in the audience, I really didn't think about, I'm going to have to face, Amelia or one of the other contestants. I guess I was just watching the game and just watching it, and I didn't really think much about, am I worrying about who I'm going to face next?
I guess before I go to another category on the Andy Awards, I do want to chuck in a question here. I don't know. What was your thought? I guess going back to Thursday's game. Obviously, you were hoping that your final Jeopardy would have been slightly easier. Because I mean, it's
Yeah.
polling at 18% on JBoard right now, which is
Yeah.
one of the toughest on this of the season, which is kind of too bad because I think a lot of people were hoping for a tiebreaker. But
Definitely.
I mean, what was your thought process when you saw that clue come out?
Well, when I saw it, yeah, I was like, I wonder, what is this? And I didn't have any idea what type of, answer was going to be there. So I definitely already off the bat didn't feel confident about the subject or the category. In terms of wagering, I mean, obviously, if my thought was if I was anywhere closer to Amelia's score, like if I had 4,000, maybe 5,000, which I did at one point before Cleopatra, but I would have probably, definitely would have thought more seriously about my wager. Funny at home, whenever I watch and I see a final category that I don't like, it's like, oh, I'll just bet zero, But I don't know. Maybe I might just put the big zero there. I don't know. But definitely, only having half of what she had just made it a lot easier. But then again, knowing that it was a difficult category. If it was a category that I felt any more comfortable in, or at least had knowledge of in, then I probably would have kicked myself knowing I only had half. Wishing I would have had more, a little bit more, closer to Amelia's score at that point. So.
Okay. Yeah, no, that actually does answer my question a little bit. Okay. Anyone on the panel here? Did anyone here on the panel get Stromboli?
No.
Nope.
Good Malta.
No.
Yeah, and the funny thing is we're talking about Learning League. I mean, Stromboli was a question, I think, there a couple seasons ago or something. I think my rookie season, I think it was. But the question there had nothing to do. It didn't mention Jules Verne, I don't think. So,
no, it didn't.
So I wouldn't have, I remember playing and getting that, thinking Stromboli, like the food, and of course, comes back to me later on. So funny.
And I think even there was a character in Pinocchio that was named Stromboli that I would have thought of first before thinking of that island.
Yeah. So, oh well, that's what happens. Those are the breaks, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you get a really, really tough final, and sometimes you get a really, really easy one. Like Mondays, for example, which is polling over 90% on JBoard.
Yeah. Which one was Monday?
That was Casey at the Bath.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, even Tuesdays I thought was fairly easy. At least, I don't know. I guess if you had to think of a hymn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I guess, Ben, did you know? I know you obviously didn't have much of a guess on your Daily Double, but did you know either of the other two?
The ensign one? No, probably not. Thinking about it, and the other one was the king one.
Frederick the Great.
Yeah, no, I see. I wouldn't have gotten any of those two either, actually. Okay. So.
Yeah, I mean, playing at home, I got ensign, but my route there was. Because Canada's original flag was known as the Red Ensign, so that's which you kind of really, really have to know your Canada in order to know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm only half,
Before the Maple Leaf, it was the Red Ensign.
I'm writing that down.
Then the category came. Then you guys had the Canada category on Friday, I think.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Actually, to be honest, I thought you guys did very well for the most part on that one. I was reasonably impressed. Nothing I wanted to be really upset about. Yeah, so no need to apologize about the Canada category at all.
Well, I was thinking Queen Victoria or Elizabeth for some reason. And again, in kind of like my, oh, I got to pick one, I picked the wrong one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, being on that stage, you know, there's just so many things going on in your head at the moment, and so you're just trying to focus is definitely a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Now, the question: did you, in that category, Jen, did you know the Yukon?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And also the RCMP, but of course I couldn't get my buzzer in fast enough.
Yeah.
I have to wonder, would they have accepted Mounties, do you think?
No, I think they said forward.
You had to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they said 4 words.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
One thing I thought, I don't know, coming from a Canadian, I thought Mike's get of Bob Dole was really impressive. And he seemed to actually really know his Senate majority leaders, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's really where he pulled. I mean, I saw that category. I was like, I'm done. Like, if we could, I was avoiding it like the plague because I just knew if we got that category, I was,
Well, the whole time I was like, oh, that's not fun. Come on, choose Woodstock. That's fun. But no.
I know. I would have loved it.
Sorry, I was born in 1984.
Well, yeah, okay, but still better than Senate majority leaders, for God's sake,
Well, yeah, I did pick that one.
For 5 years, so I mean,
Did you? I guess my other question is, did you know the Blue Mosque?
No. But
no? Okay.
I probably would have picked some random color.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. I completely went. I went too much on Turkish mosque, and definitely went in the wrong direction. I picked a. I went for the only Turkish holy house I could think of, the Hagia Sophia. So. I focused too much on Turkey and not enough on mosque. But moving on to the next category for the Andy Awards, favorite moment of the season. Now, I've actually deliberately selected for this one 5. There is not going to be any overlap between favorite moment and favorite episode. So we're going to. There's a little bit of a difference there, but there's going to be 5 nominees for favorite moment, and we'll just get those up as quickly as we can. Here we go. Hopefully they come up. And your 5 nominees are Kristen Sauceville's single-player Final Jeopardy. I think we have some people who nominated and might have been a little bit on the more morbid side with the moments on the favorite thing, but there were a lot of nominations. We have, of course, the Snap from which came back into the news this week, ironically enough, thanks to the Republican Party. We have Jennifer Morrow Dances. Talia with What Is the Love Ballad of Turd Ferguson. And from his TOC semifinal, Alex Jacob, What Is a Leave?
Well, those are all really good ones.
Yeah.
Again, it's gonna. You know what? To be honest with you, it's really. You know how they say it's an honor just to be nominated. I think this is definitely the case with a lot of these, and also there were a lot of nominations that I were unable to fit within the 5 in each category. I've got 2 more categories coming up in just a little bit. Favorite contestant overall and favorite episode, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. The college tournament is coming up in a couple of weeks, and that starts February the 1st, I believe. Did any of you guys try out for a college tournament?
I did. Well, I didn't try out, but I got selected for an audition. And unfortunately, I couldn't go because it happened to be the same day as my first day of college. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. like it was a very hard choice to make, but I'm glad I did because I always knew that I would be coming back at some point. Yeah.
What about you, Ben? Did you ever try out for a college championship?
No, I didn't. I did not try out. No.
What about you, Kerry and Tom?
Well, back when I was actually in my undergrad days, we were still playing Jeopardy on rocks, but so they didn't have a college tournament. I graduated TCU in '85, and
Okay.
but they did come through, and when I found out that they were doing a tournament, they came through, but that's when I found out that they weren't accepting graduate students. You had to be an undergrad. College
Yeah,
And you, Kerry?
never occurred to me back then. I mean, I watched it all the time with my roommates, and I said, someday I'll be on that, which actually was 30 years later, but I did do that, so, But yeah, I wasn't ready, I guess.
There you go.
So, obviously, you guys have all made it on. Are you glad you waited to appear on the regular games?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, I know way more now than I did then, so.
Yeah.
Actually, last night we were having I was helping Dave Madden with his National History Bee tournament in New Jersey. We had a bit of a party afterwards, and there's a young woman who's part of the staff who is actually going to be taking the test next week, who had auditioned for the college tournament when she was at Oklahoma. And the general consensus around everybody was, it's like, at the time, you feel bad if you don't make the college tournament. But then again, if you're on the college tournament and you're in your first game and you don't make it out of that, that's it. That's you're done for good. No chances ever of back in any capacity. So I'm going to wish Maggie Larkin presumptive good luck in qualifying, but I think on the whole I was much happier when I wound up not being able to do the college tournament after all.
Yeah, I mean, having watched the show since it came on, like in the mid '80s, I did try out. I mean, when I first tried out, it was even before the online test, so it would have been interesting if I actually got a call back then. But then now, having come 30 years later, like Kerry said, I think it's just having the knowledge and the experience. I think it definitely, hopefully, made me a better contestant. Even though it may not have shown on my episode as much, but yeah, I think coming a little bit later, definitely I think was a good thing for me.
Was that back in the postcard days, Ben? Did you have to?
Yeah, write a postcard. And actually, when I was in college, I think this was even before they even had the college tournament. They had the brain bus that would drive around campuses and stuff. And I remember doing that and doing a quick test with the bus and then trying to get to LA for the audition. So yeah, been a while. I've been trying out for a long time.
How many auditions did you go through?
Well, fortunately, I just had the one last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I've taken the online test like every year since it came out. But last year was the first time I got the email invite for the in-person audition.
Where did you try out?
Oh, I'm sorry?
Where did you try out?
In Washington, D.C. Fortunately, it was close by, so
okay.
I drove up for a weekend. That weekend.
Washington, D.C. When was that audition?
How was it?
No, when was it? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. March 2015. So.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the first time they actually emailed me to come in person. I took the online test back in January 2014. And I think for some reason they didn't do the next online test that following January. They did till later, I think April.
Was as far as I remember, it was mid-April.
Yeah, and so when I got the email in January 2015, I was like, oh really? I was like surprised because I thought it had already been a year and hadn't heard anything. So I was very surprised that I got the email to go to the in-person audition in DC. So, but yeah. That was my one audition in person.
And well, I guess, hey, 1 for 1, that works out perfectly. How about you? How about you, Jen?
Yeah, it's my first audition as well. I auditioned. I took the April online quiz, and then I got called for an audition in July in LA.
Okay.
And yeah, I thought they forgot about me too, because I hadn't heard, and so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll see. And then they called me up a few months later, and then
Yeah, I mean, I had been in the pool for 8 months when I got the call, and it was so funny. My wife and my son and I were having dinner, and all of a sudden, my cell phone rings and it shows, 310 Culver City, and my wife and I go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, so excited. So yeah, it was really cool. It was a really cool moment.
I'm sure Jeopardy is probably very glad that there aren't more telemarketers who have Culver City numbers.
That's true.
Well, I heard they do leave messages. I think I was talking to somebody, and they said they didn't answer the phone because they didn't know.
Yeah, I actually, it was a message for me. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I kept it. I still have it. So.
Nice.
Okay, moving on, I'll just check the hashtag again. Not seeing too much on the hashtag this evening, but I guess people have not much else to contribute. But in terms of our next category for the Andy Awards, this one is favorite overall contestant. So 5 more here. Let's see. This computer is very, very slow sometimes. It is sharing, but we'll see what happens. The 5 nominees are, they're up now. Liz Fritz. Yay, Kerry, you made it. Kerry Greene.
Wow.
Alex Jacob. Matt Jackson and Kristen Sauceville. Those are
nice.
That's another really good list. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I think I know who Kerry's voting for.
No.
I don't know. Again, all my friends. So.
Yes. Once again, voting opens at 9 o'clock Eastern this evening and goes until January 31st, at which time I will determine who the winners are. And you might, by the way, to submit a ballot, you do need to vote in each of the 6 categories. There's one more category coming up that is for favorite episode. And here we go. I'll get to that in just a second. I've got some random questions here that I can't really fit in anywhere else. The standing question I have here for all the panelists from Ben Ingram. You guys were on later in the week, which means I get to ask you both about the Sony commissary. What did you guys have for lunch?
Nice.
Sure. I had the BLT, and it was delicious. It had like 4 pieces of bacon on it. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a turkey sandwich and with some chips and I think an iced tea or something. Yeah.
Do you think
and leftover money, and they got a bunch of candy bars, and that was.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, with the voucher, some of them had it had some left over, so that's a bunch of candy bars for it.
Yeah, that's a Karina thing. She is into the candy bars.
Yeah. She gets the candy bars, and apparently, from what I've been told, she just, hey, does anyone want a candy bar? And then nobody takes
and they're
them.
enormous. They're not normal-sized candy bars. They're like, for a crowd of children. They're huge. So, who's going to, yes, give me that candy bar. I don't think so.
Yeah, sugar crash as you're on stage. That's not going to work out very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, there were donuts in the break room. Like when we first came in, so I don't know.
That's right. I don't think I had one though. I think
no.
No, I never did. They were there, both times, but it was just too much.
I can't. To be honest, I can't imagine getting any food from the green room. To be honest with you, not just out of nerves, but
yeah.
I had coffee because it was like I needed to do something. So,
fair enough.
I remember being terrified of the coffee pot. That's the funny thing because well, I had gotten in very late the night before, so it's like I had gotten maybe 4 hours of sleep before having to get to the studio. Just bad weather on the travel. The plane got delayed.
Mm.
So it's like, do I take the coffee? Do I run the risk of being on a caffeine jag out there in the middle of the stage and Alex saying, Tom, would you mind slowing down because we or the obverse of coming up there, getting up on the podium and finally just head desking because it's like, oh, okay, I need to sleep now.
Mhm.
Okay.
I didn't dare go near the coffee pot.
Just to move back a second, I do have Amelia. I guess her family has managed to I guess her family has managed to leave. She unfortunately gave her regrets. She was hoping to come on the panel tonight, but she was unable to. But apparently, she heard us discussing the call, and she said she contributes. She got a voicemail, called back, got a second voicemail, and on their third time calling, she was finally able to receive the call. So
Nice.
lots of phone tag, and yes,
Mhm.
they will keep trying until they get a hold of you. And I suspect they will try every method possible to get a hold of you because once they want you for the show, they really want you for the show. So
Wow, that's great. Good to know.
Voicemail from Jeopardy and having to leave a message. That qualifies as close to abject terror because it's like, oh my God, I didn't talk to them. They're not going to call me back. They're going to go call somebody else because I wasn't there to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So,
I mean, obviously, I would call them back as soon as I got the message, or if it were on a weekend, be like, yes, 9 o'clock Monday morning, I'm calling. But still, it's. I suspect they get people. Most of the people do actually call them back very quickly. The online test is obviously coming up, not next week, but the week after. Do you guys have any tips you'd like to share on doing well in the online test?
Log in early.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Yeah,
wait.
my nephew actually had trouble with the teen test this past week, and he ended up not able to take it. So I told him that was all right because he would have screwed up his eligibility. But I don't think he's feeling so great about it right now. So, but just a computer issue, and by the time it got back on, it was too late.
Yeah.
No.
Is he a senior then?
He's a junior, so.
Okay.
There is the possibility that there would be another one, but he also thought that it didn't give up your eligibility if you did teen, so now he's weighing that and thinking about that. So
yeah. I would, as somebody who's taken the online test many times, I would agree with the login early. So.
Yeah, and I guess it does move pretty quickly, if I recall. So just try to be as calm as you can. Even if you type and you may misspell, it's okay. So just if you can try to get your answers somewhat legible.
One thing that I always like to do, don't click the submit answer button. At the end of time, it will automatically submit what you've got written down. A couple of things. A, it means you won't accidentally skip a question. B, I actually find it helps get you into a rhythm. Seeing a new question every 15 seconds, you settle into a rhythm of okay, see question, think about question, answer question, relax, repeat the process for the beginning of the next question. So, with regards to your contestant interviews this week, did Alex talk about the topic that you wanted to?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, for me, actually, no, it was not. One of the 5 that I had hoped Alex would pick was my proposal story to my wife, because we grew up. We met in Washington D.C. and we lived there before we moved to Richmond, Virginia, and it was during the cherry blossom time of year, and we walked over to the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, and that's where I proposed to her. So, yeah, romantic.
That's nice.
So that was the story that I'd hoped Alex would pick.
That's surprising, actually, because I've always been under the impression Alex loves the proposal stories, and he
That's what
always
Marina
flocks
mentioned.
to them. Yeah.
However, but then I think because of the story that ended up there, because of his tie with Marty Pasetta, I guess the director of the concert that I saw, he was Alex's first director in his first U.S. game show. He said.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand the why he would probably want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No.
And
Probably
actually,
thinks.
that story. I'm sorry. That story was also the one that Maggie asked me in my audition. So
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, I guess it must have resonated with them.
Must have.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I'm part of me is kind of half hoping Amelia weighs in on this on the hashtag, but the arm wrestling.
I could. Yeah. When I
She
saw
told,
that.
yeah. She told me that she did not know that was going to happen in advance. And she was just like, okay, I guess this is happening now.
Don't break the host. We have a problem here breaking him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was certainly interesting.
She did great, though. I mean,
Yeah.
her demeanor was just perfect through all of that weirdness.
That's true.
Yeah, definitely.
I probably should have taken a closer look at this as to how the scores ended up after that interview for her, but I know Ben Wiles mentioned, especially with regards to Vinny in Sports Jeopardy, that the one of the most underrated aspects of being the champion is the familiarity with the interview. And a lot of champions, because they haven't kind of lost a step with the interview with Alex, they tend to do a little bit better coming out of that first break.
Well, it was definitely easier as the days went on, no question. It was just like having a conversation, whereas the first one was like, oh my God, I'm going to faint,
By the way, actually, I'll wait a little bit longer before announcing the results of the poll that I promised earlier. Instead, I am going to release the nominees for favorite specific episode. The five here. I've only picked one out of the Tournament of Champions, though. There are 4 regular episodes. And of course, if you remember, there are obviously What Is a Leave is not going to be one of them.
Yeah.
But favorite episode, your 5 nominees, they are. First up, we have the January 27th episode, Christine Kim versus Jennifer Hindert versus Brian Quinn. If you've forgotten, this surprising. This surprised me to get a bunch of nominations, but that's the one where Christine Kim had $7,000 to Brian's 21 on the last clue of Double Jeopardy, wagered everything on that daily double, which ended up being a penultimate wager, and ended up winning the game out of exactly 2/3 going into Final Jeopardy. March 27th, Michael Bilo's first game, his heavyweight bout with Eric Swanson on Friday, March 27th. That got nominated. Kerry, one of your games, 2 of your games actually,
Wow.
but the first one, the first nominee when Kea went for.
Man, that was a kick-ass game.
That came up on reruns a couple weeks back,
Yeah.
and
Saw that.
that was worth. That's worth watching. That was worth watching again. That's probably my nominee. Also, game number 2 of the Tournament of Champions. I guess people liked it because of the end result, and not as opposed to Alex's big bets in game 1. But game 2, of course, game 2 of the finals, and the 5th nominee, Chandri's victory, back on December 23rd. Versus Teresa Tejada and Joe Quackenbush. So those are your 5 nominees. 3 which I thought were a little more obvious, 2 a little little out of the woodwork, but hey, all 5 very worthy nominees for favorite episode. At this point, I'm going to ask if any panelists have any random questions for anyone else on the panel. Now, Kerry, I was going to ask you this before. You're having a New Zealand trip in a little bit, right?
Yeah, we leave the 28th, and we're gone for almost 3 weeks, so very psyched. We were just going over everything today because we'd kind of forgotten, like what we were doing what day, and so had to get that straight in my head. But yeah, that's going to be awesome. Yeah, so New Zealand, be prepared. Have enough wine on hand. I'm coming.
Okay. Before any other questions, we have some contributions on the hashtag, all from Amelia. Her Doctor Who story was on the fly because she was nerding out next to Ellen, picked instead of her proposal story as well. And also, she had no idea about the arm wrestling maximum awkward Alex interview.
Yeah.
She'd even forgotten she had control of the board after that one. So
I love the Whovian story though, because it's you always like getting a kind of a glimpse of somebody like that, where all of a sudden they drop into a jargon, and it's just like, oh God, yes, yeah, okay. I was very fond of Amelia as a contestant anyway. I think I was the one that christened her the Hammer after she did the arm wrestling with Alex, but that was just totally endearing, and the little touches like that are the kind of thing that you love it when the show can bring it out of people.
So, does anyone else have any random questions for anyone else on the panel?
I just want to say, Ben, I really like your coffee mug. I think that's awesome.
I told myself I was going to bring it with me in here, but not at the moment. I apologize. But,
I'm really kind of upset that my husband did not get me a Suck It Trebek coffee mug. So
for those who don't know, my wife for Christmas got me a mug. I think she got it somewhere on one of the artists at Etsy, and on one side it had the category of adventure literature and the date 1/14/16, and the other side had a famous phrase that's mentioned frequently on SNL's parody of Celebrity Jeopardy, Suck It Trebek. So, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'll let her know that you really enjoyed it.
If I'm not mistaken, speaking of Celebrity Jeopardy, I think Alex. No, I think Alex doesn't. In terms of people, people's portrayals of him, he always say he prefers Eugene Levy and what he did on SCTV.
I've never seen that.
High Q. Basically, the parodies that SCTV did of Reach for the Top up here in Canada, which Alex Trebek also hosted.
Okay.
Those were Alex's favorite parodies of him.
Someone from the audience did ask him if he gets along with Sean Connery. To which he answered no.
It was pretty emphatic too.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
But then he mentioned that SNL sketch, and he did say that there was some good writing on it. So, but I remembered. I want to ask Ben. Did you get the Who Reads? Was that on yours? That was on yours, right?
Was it?
The Who Reads category.
It was on my brain. So.
Yeah. Did anyone? Because
I knew in the back of my mind.
Dying inside. And Amy.
I think when Ellen started it, I think I could tell her face was. I think she wasn't sure how she was gonna do it or not. I think.
But yeah, Amy turned around and was like, if that comes up again when you're on, you promise me you're gonna say it right. And so I was like, okay, I will.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. I asked a poll earlier in the week about one of Monday's categories, and you know what? Who Reads was not the most controversial category of the week. I will say that much. 4 legs, 1 clue. Really, you know what? I am going to take the stance that that's a 4 picks, 1 word reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just maybe they're looking for some entertainment.
Well,
The writers.
I mean, Keith brought it up on his video on Monday night. I guess I should ask you guys. Did you guys do much preparation in terms of looking at strategy, betting strategy at all, like looking at the final wager, or?
Yes, I reviewed Keith's video series online twice, actually. Like once right after my audition, and then once before I went on. I still was really nervous about it, and still to this, I don't know if I made the right choice, but.
I'm not sure Keith thinks he made the right choice either. I don't know if you've seen
I know he wouldn't agree, but to me, I was debating, and I was like, well, I felt confident knowing Mike. I was like, he's probably going to get it right, and I'm just going to go for it because I'm not playing the second. So
I've visited his site a few times before, but I really didn't really think much about it. It was more of just sort of thinking. I guess my own thinking about things, but I guess fortunately in my case, I really didn't have to think much about strategy. So.
Yeah, I would agree that you had quite an easy decision in your game.
Yeah.
And, it was Amelia who had the fun half of this one, especially with no more ties. I'm going to announce the results of that poll in just a brief moment.
Before you do, I actually do have to go right now. It's time for my son's bedtime, so I'm just gonna...
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
And
nice to see you, Ben.
Nice seeing you, Jen. Nice meeting you, Tom and Kerry.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks again. It was really a lot of fun. Thanks, Andy.
No problem. And hopefully this. I am going eventually to bring up the results of this poll. Apparently, this is the last time I'll be going on this computer that runs very slowly. Oh well. Any other questions? Anyone else want to talk about anything while I bring up the results of the?
So, Jen, you were an alternate. Did you go twice?
No, that was my first day there.
So that's kind of nice.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that, but also you're just so up. All of the adrenaline and everything. It would be hard to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still think about that, whether or not I would have preferred waiting, because it was still kind of surreal, like, you don't find out until right before, and then you're like, oh my God, this is happening, and I still, part of myself was like, I wasn't getting my hopes up that I was going to go on that day, and so I think that the difficulty of being an alternate is that uncertainty of whether or not you're going to be on the show that day.
Yeah.
So I was kind of dealing with that as well, but yeah, like you said, the adrenaline afterwards, I just felt completely deflated.
Yeah.
I'd never felt like that before in my whole life. I'd never been so just wired all day and then whoosh, all of a sudden just down, and I couldn't even think after. I was just like a zombie, and my parents, thankfully, and my boyfriend were there, and they were all, okay, let's go get something to eat. Okay, very, very supportive. But yeah.
One thing I just thought of, completely off topic a little bit. There's another veterinarian coming on next week. Have you talked shop with her much, or? Not
much. She just messaged me on Facebook though. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see her. Yeah, because we were commiserating because earlier in the week, on I think Tuesday, there was that horse health category.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it was totally meant for me, and I was like, no, why? Yeah, and then a couple of animal categories that of course were not on my show, but that's how it goes, right? So.
Well, sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Okay, the results of the poll, they have finally managed to come up on this computer. So in Amelia's position, we have 50%, 10 respondents, so 5 of them would say 0.
Yes.
4 of the 10 said $1. And 1 person would have bet something else, not 0, 1, or 1999. They were 0 for 1999, which would have
No
been
Prince fans.
Well, 1999 is what would have put Amelia at 4001, which would have been twice Alan's score. But, so that's why I put that option in the poll. But I thought that's interesting that that even the fans not quite in agreement on what to do, whether to make a bet or not.
Well, you have a bias about how you feel about the buzzer, I think. And I hate the freaking thing, so I totally would have bet $1 in order to avoid that, buzz off.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't touch on that, but Kerry's got a point, Andy. When you and I were arguing back and forth earlier,
yeah,
really come on that one, because I would have bet 0 and figured I'll trust my skills and knowledge in a one-on-one buzzer race rather than run the risk the other way. But if you don't feel comfortable with the device, then Kerry's got the absolute point there.
Yeah. And again, as I said when I brought up the post at the Jeopardy fan on Friday, you've got to think yourself at least a 58% favorite right now for going for the tiebreaker to make sense. And if you're interested in the numbers, they're at thejeopardyfan.com, by the way. But I'm not going to bore everyone here with the details. But they are on a post at the website if you are interested in looking at it. Do I have any other questions from anyone else on the panel? I do not see any further comments on the hashtag, so I'm just about ready to show the credits. Any other questions at this point?
I'm good, thanks. I want to thank you. I've got a few things I need to do here, so I think I'll take the opportunity to bow out and thank you for having me.
One more thing on the. Amelia has said wager was based on her paltry knowledge of adventure literature. In a different category, she'd have gone for it. So she hates the category, so she figured she'd rather have the tiebreak than the adventure literature. I can respect that. So for everyone here at thejeopardyfan.com, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for taking part in tonight's panel. Going to bring up the credits card right now. So here we go. Thank you guys once again for tuning in and taking part. Next one, I haven't quite scheduled a date yet, but I will in the next couple of days, and you'll see the date for that on the left sidebar at the website, thejeopardyfan.com. Thank you guys for coming on tonight, and have an excellent night.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
No problem.
Take care.
Great to meet you all.
Take care, everyone.